Assalamu alaikum. Good evening, everyone. IELTS instructor of IEL Mymensingh, whose full form is Institution of English Language. First of all, I would like to thank Bangladesh Agricultural University Language Club for organizing an amazing event like this. To be honest, I feel so good that I came here. It was such an innovative idea that to gather such versatile topics in one session from where every one of us could learn something new. Now, I am here to talk about IELTS exam. ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজের কথা যদি বলি, আমাদের সবার কাছে নিজের ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজের ইম্পর্টেন্স অন্য লেভেলে আছে, বাট হোয়েন ইট কামস টু ইংলিশ, it has a special importance, doesn't matter where we live or doesn't matter what we do. সবখানে সব জায়গায় জীবনে কখনো না কখনো আমাদের কিন্তু ইংলিশ প্রয়োজন, and when it comes to IELTS exam, it is for a special purpose. If we have to go abroad for higher studies, or if you want to go abroad and settle a new life, make a new life in a new environment, then IELTS is needed. বিগত কয়েক বছর ধরে আমাদের মধ্যে যে নর্মালি সরকারি চাকরির কেসটা ছিল, আমি বলবো না কমে গিয়েছে, কিন্তু অ্যাজ ইটস হাইলি কম্পিটিটিভ, নাও মেনি অফ আস ইজ মুভিং টুয়ার্ডস IELTS এক্সাম অ্যান্ড ওয়ান্ট টু স্টাডি অ্যাব্রোড। সো IELTS exam কি? I think all of us know that it is an internationally standardized special exam to judge the English proficiency of the non-native speakers. IELTS আমার আরেক কলিগ অলরেডি অনেক বেসিক ইংলিশ সম্পর্কে বলেছেন, সো আই এম নট গোয়িং দেয়ার। লেটস টক অ্যাবাউট দ্য কোশ্চেন টাইপস অফ IELTS. I think I will not bore you and I won't take your much time. As my fellow colleagues said, we have total 4 modules when it comes to IELTS exam. Before that, IELTS is of 2 types. One is general training and another is academic IELTS. I think here all of us sitting here are interested for academic IELTS only. So I'm not going to the GT IELTS, I want to talk about this. So, the 4 modules of IELTS test. First of all, let's talk about listening test. লিসেনিং আমরা সবাই জানি, বা অনেকেই হচ্ছে আমাদের অভ্যাস রয়েছে মুভিজ দেখার বা সিরিজ দেখার লিসেনিং, বাট হোয়েন ইট কামস টু IELTS লিসেনিং টেস্ট, ট্রাস্ট মি, ইটস ডিফারেন্ট. ইউ উইল হ্যাভ 4 সেকশনস অ্যান্ড ইউ উইল হ্যাভ 30 মিনিটস. আপনি মোট 4টা অডিও ক্লিপিংস শুনবেন, ডিফারেন্ট টাইপস অফ অডিও রেকর্ডিংস with versatile accents. It won't be the same accent in every audio recording. You will have to listen to different audio recordings. So for section 1, in section 1 you will normally hear a telephone conversation between 2 people. Most of the time it is about the gap filling. You will have to fill in the blanks in 10 words. Now what may be the questions? It may be name, date, year and specific details they want you to know and write. When it comes to section 2, you will often hear from a guide describing something about any company or any historical place, any resort, and the question types will be like, you will have basically 2 question types. One is map, maybe map and multiple choice questions, or it may be a matching box. What you have to do is to listen to the audio recordings carefully and try to find the answers from the recording. Please, you will hear the recording for once only, so pay attention to what you hear. In the section 3, you will listen to 2 or 3 students, most of the time an academic discussion, like they're making some projects or doing some research, and they talk about the pros and cons of the research here. You have to pay attention to one thing. Most of the time you cannot actually identify the different speech of them. আমাদের সেকশন 3 তে সবচেয়ে ইম্পর্টেন্ট জিনিস যেটা হয়, দুইজনের কথার মধ্যে আমাদেরকে আইডেন্টিফাই করতে হবে কে কোন কথা বলছে, এবং ইট মে সামথিং লাইক হোয়েন ইউ আর ইন ইউনিভার্সিটি, রাইট? Suppose you were talking about some projects you were doing together. Let's talk about this session only. Some of you were interested in BCS, right? Some of you are interested in IELTS, and there may be some of you who aren't interested in anything at all, who have come here to see some specific person. It may happen, right? So when you talk about this, কেউ একজন বলছে yes, that Apu took well, but I don't like her. She was good. আরেকজন বলল যে no, she was good actually, and the other speakers also, but I didn't like the BCS section, it was boring. তখন আবার আরেক স্টুডেন্ট বলতে পারে no, everything was. IELTS লিসেনিং টেস্টের সেকশন 3 তে আমাদের এই স্পিচগুলো আইডেন্টিফাই করতে হবে, কে কোন কথা বলছে, কে কি মিনিং করে বলছে, and you will have to answer some questions. Most of the time in IELTS part 3 we will have some MCQ questions like double choice. We have to make, you will be given 5 options, and from that you have to answer 2 options like agree, disagree, in which topics they both agreed, or in which topics they both disagreed. So it's a tough thing, I think, because it's not easy that they will talk randomly. You have to understand from their speech. And section 4 will be completely an academic lecture. কোনো একজন কথা বলবে, and most of the time he or she will speak about something academic, research paper, or anything philosophical, and you will have to answer the 10 questions. The question types will be like gap filling. Okay, I actually made my speech very short. I don't know whether you could understand this or not. Listening test, when it comes to IELTS, is like the 4th subject which we had in our SSC and HSC exam. Why? Because doing good in listening is the most easiest part. So why I am telling this? Listening is fun, as my fellow colleague said. আপনি যখন লিসেনিং প্র্যাকটিস করবেন, from my past experience with my students, whenever I go to the class, I often ask them, which module do you prefer the most? They all will answer, ma'am, we want to do listening. Why? Because it is fun, and you have more opportunities to do good when it comes to listening test. My own score was the best when it came to listening, because I also like to do listening a lot. So এমন হতেই পারে আমরা সবাইকে সব বিষয়ে ইকুয়াল পারফেক্ট, এনিওয়ান, কেউ স্পিকিং এ ভালো হতে পারি, কেউ রাইটিং এ ভালো হতে পারি, ধরেন কিছুতেই ভালো নাই, আমরা সব কিছুতেই ভালো, কিন্তু ওই দিন এক্সাম স্ট্রেসে আমাদের কোনো একটা মডিউল খারাপ হয়ে গিয়েছে। লিসেনিং ক্যান কভার দ্যাট ফর ইউ। আপনার লিসেনিং স্কোরে ভালো করা ইজি, লিসেনিং প্র্যাকটিস ফান, অ্যান্ড হোয়েন ইউ ডু গুড ইন লিসেনিং, this listening test will cover your bad score for other modules. Listening test আমরা 30 minutes পাই, and there is a common question often I get from my students, কোন এক্সাম দেয়া ভালো, পেপার বেসড এক্সাম or computer based exam? Now that's something I want to discuss with you. Although I don't think you have plans for doing IELTS within very short time, still আপনি যদি ভালো হন, that means you have a good typing skill, then only for computer based exam. Why? লিসেনিং টেস্টে কিন্তু আপনাকে দ্বিতীয়বার শোনার সুযোগ দেওয়া হবে না। You will get to hear the audio recordings once, and you will have to answer the questions. মোটামুটি গ্যাপ ফিলিং নামে যে কোশ্চেন টাইপ আছে, I won't say all the time, but most of the time in listening test, this gap filling will cover almost 20 marks of your whole test. That means 50%. Sometimes it can be more than that. আপনার টাইপিং স্কিল যদি ভালো না হয়, আপনি একবার শুনে সাথে সাথে ওয়ার্ডগুলো টাইপ করে ফেলতে নাও পারেন। I am not demotivating you guys. Still, if you have a good skill in typing, then you can go for computer-based exam. Otherwise, I will say go for paper-based exam only. You will have 30 minutes to answer your questions, and then you will have 10 minutes in paper-based exam to transfer your answers to the answer sheet. But when it comes to computer-based exam, you will get only 2 minutes to just check your answers. So as I have said, please try to pay attention to listening. And listening এ কিভাবে ভালো করতে হবে আমার fellow speaker already বলে গিয়েছেন, তো I'm not going that still only understanding English is not enough in listening. Why? You may understand all the things they are saying, still you are not sure if you can do in listening because the questions would be the same. They will be highly paraphrased, there will be synonym, and they will talk so fast. So what should we do for that? Actually we cannot predict that now. Most often I find students who are used to listen to English, যখন ক্লাসের শুরুতে অনেকে কনফিডেন্ট থাকে যে হ্যাঁ ম্যাম আমি লিসেনিংয়ে ভালো করতে পারবো, আমি তো মুভি সিরিজ দেখি। But when the actual time comes, actually all of them cannot do well. Why? আমাদের লিসেনিং টেস্টে কোশ্চেন টাইপ অনুযায়ী আমাদের আন্ডারস্ট্যান্ডিংটাও কিন্তু জরুরি। কিভাবে আমাদের কোশ্চেনগুলো অ্যানালাইজ করতে হবে, কিভাবে বুঝতে হবে, কিভাবে আনসার করতে হবে। শুধু অনলি লিসেনিং ইজ নট এনাফ, ফর দ্যাট উই মাস্ট হ্যাভ সাম ডিপ আন্ডারস্ট্যান্ডিং অ্যান্ড পে অ্যাটেনশন টু হোয়াট উই হিয়ার। That's all about I want to talk about listening. Now let's talk about another module, which is reading. Now that's something the students fear the most when it comes to IELTS. Often I get students who are so concerned about their reading test. Why? শুনলেই মনে হয় না অনেক ইজি। রিডিং এটা কি? কোশ্চেন টাইপগুলো যদি শোনেন আপনারা বলবেন যে ওকে এটা তো আরও ইজি, ট্রু ফলস নট গিভেন, গ্যাপ ফিলিং। বাট মাই ফ্রেন্ড, you have a special enemy when you talk about IELTS reading test. That is time. You will have only 1 hour to finish your whole reading test, and in academic reading test you will have 3 passages and altogether 40 questions. Now the passages won't be that small also. In just 60 minutes, I won't say 1 hour actually, আমি কোনোভাবে 1 ঘন্টা সময় বলতে রাজি না, কারণ আসলে আমরা এইখানে বসে বা বাসায় বসে ভাবি হয়তো 1 ঘন্টা সময় অনেক সময়, but when you will be in that exam center you won't get 1 hour, you won't feel even that it is 1 hour. আমাদের 3টা প্যাসেজ সলভ কোশ্চেন পড়তে হবে, 40টা কোশ্চেন পড়তে হবে 3টা প্যাসেজ থেকে। এই কোশ্চেনগুলো প্যাসেজ থেকে ফাইন্ড আউট করতে হবে, দেন উই অলসো হ্যাভ টু আনসার দ্যাম ইন দ্য আনসার শিট, বিকজ অ্যাজ উই গট ইন দ্য লিসেনিং টেস্ট, পয়েন্ট টু বি নোটেড, ইউ ওয়ন্ট গেট এনি এক্সট্রা টাইম ইন রিডিং টেস্ট। You will have to write all the answers within the 1 hour only. রিডিংয়ে যদি আমরা সময় পেতাম তাহলে অ্যাকচুয়ালি রিডিং এত কঠিন আমাদের কাছে হতোই না। The test you will give in 1 hour, if you had time for 2 hours, trust me, you will have corrected all the answers. Reading passage 1, I am talking briefly about the whole modules. Reading passage 1, I would say this is the easiest part of the whole reading test. Academic passage থাকবে তবে comparatively easy when we compare it to the other 2 passages. The most common question types of is may be true, false, not given, short question answer, and gap filling. At first, I would say go through the whole passages within the first 3 minutes. Don't take more, because we still have to do a lot of things. Then go through the questions. Try to identify the specific keywords you get in the questions, and then return to the main passage. Try to locate the answers. After that, think deeply if you locate the answers in the passage, and then select your answer. When it comes to passage 2, I would say it is comparatively harder than the first one, and in this part we have some really unique question types. We may have list of heading, matching information, multiple choice, and summary with clues in that question type. I am saying generally because sometimes it happens that the question types varies, and exception is never an example, so I am not going there. Now what is list of heading? আমরা নিউজপেপার পড়ি না, প্রত্যেকটা নিউজের জন্য কিন্তু আমাদের আলাদা আলাদা হেডিংস থাকে। সেম ওয়েতে আপনারা যখন আইএলস রিডিংয়ের কোনো একটা প্যাসেজ পড়বেন দেখবেন এই প্যাসেজগুলো আলাদা আলাদা প্যারাগ্রাফে ডিভাইড করা, অ্যান্ড ইফ ইউ ডিভাইড 1 প্যারাগ্রাফ, প্রত্যেকটা প্যারাগ্রাফকে যদি আমরা আলাদা এনটিটি হিসেবে চিন্তা করি, they will have a perfect headline for this. And in list of heading আমাদের এরকম কয়েকটি হেডিং এর একটা চার্ট থাকে. You will have to read the paragraphs individually. In IELTS reading part 3 we have some really complex question types. So you can consider them as the both we had before. হয় না একটা ফ্যামিলিতে বা একটা ক্লাসেও কিন্তু আমরা সবাই সেম না. Some are way too general, commoner, and some demands more. IELTS reading passage 3 is something that demands more from you. It will demand more understanding and more proficiency and more time. So, how can we manage that time? Because our time is limited. I would say when it comes to IELTS reading, divide your time like 15, 20 and 25 minutes. As I had said earlier, IELTS passage 1 is comparatively easy. So try to finish that within first 15 minutes. For passage 2 take 20 minutes, and when it comes to passage 3 take at least 25 minutes. And there is another psychology for this. I am not talking about this place or when you can sit and comfortably doing the test. IELTS exam আপনি যখন exam হলে আসেন and you have 1 hour. In your mind you know I have 1 hour, I have a huge time, I can do that easily. Time যাচ্ছে, and when you see I have only 20 minutes, trust me, both time you won't be the same. You will panic, you will hurry. That's why try to save as much as time you can when it comes to IELTS passage 1, so that you can save up your time for passage 3. Because in the passage 3 we have really some complex question types like matching information, and sentence completion, yes, no, not given, and other some question types also. As we have to shorten our speech, so I am not going in the depth. Now let's talk about IELTS writing. This is the module I don't know why we all do the worst. Actually, why is that reason? One is that overconfidence. We don't practice at all. In my case, I also didn't practice it much because I thought, okay, it is so easy, I can do that. And another thing is laziness. So I don't do that, I would say. In IELTS writing test, we have total 2 tasks. One is writing task 1 and writing task 2. In writing task 1, you will be given some images or any chart, flow chart, bar chart, pie chart, or any process. You have to describe it. In writing task 1, they will judge how can you follow the instructions and how you can read the details, and so see the details from any image or any chart. And IELTS writing task 2. This is the hardest part of the IELTS exam. I would say hardest part because we don't know that, or we don't know how to write it. But it is the hardest part because we misjudge it. Often we just write whatever in our mind and then lose our score. Then we shout, why I got so poor score in IELTS writing test? I wrote good. Now, whenever you get the questions, don't try to write at the first at glance. At first, try to understand the question, then plan your answer. For instance, if you, I am talking about a specific IELTS writing question. If you got a question like, nowadays, many people are leaving their hometown and going to urban cities. So, do the advantages outweigh the disadvantage? কি বুঝলাম আমরা কোশ্চেনটা থেকে? It is asked. এখন কি হচ্ছে? মানুষ সবাই সিটিতে চলে যাচ্ছে. Now, do the advantages outweigh the disadvantage? Our question was that. That means, if the advantages are more or the disadvantages are more. Now, at first when you saw this, you just kept on writing about the advantages of leaving the hometown and going to city, and then you wrote about the disadvantage of this. But you never made your own opinion. So that's all today. We have shortage of time here. I hope doesn't matter if you give IELTS or not, doesn't matter if you want to come in our institute or not. I will invite all of you to IEL Mymensingh head office branch. Please come here just to have a coffee with us. It will be great for us. Okay, thank you.